Welcome to the Snake Pit.
Alright, what's up y'all? So if you saw my previous vid on this Cobra Tack handguard here, and it was not lining up, it's a little bit lower than the upper I had on, or I was trying to use it with. This is a Palmetto State. So if you remember, it was actually 0.02 lower in height, so it wasn't flat, so to speak. This kind of bothered me, and you know, I really thought after seeing Pop's Quest video, seeing his comment back and a few others, I was thinking I might just send this thing back. So when I had it off, I went ahead and decided I would try it on a couple other stripped uppers and see what's going on. And so I put it on this one. This is a Spikes Tactical, and I just put it on, and it's still slightly off, but on this one, and let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, it's actually 0.01 difference. So not quite as bad, and I was like, well, maybe if and when you're holding it in certain ways, it's a little bit more flush, but as I tighten it down, that's where it wound up being. And I'm like, man, the tolerance is off on this upper, and this, what's going on? So I just pulled a couple of my other uppers out and freaking took the optics off, because some of them I had the red dot pretty close up here. On this one, actually, well, this one, the little bastard, this guy was actually back far enough. I just took it off so I could use a straight edge. But on my 300 blackout build, I actually had a pretty big red dot here, and it actually spanned over this joint just for positioning. And this is a Yankee Hill handguard, and one of my favorite uppers from SAA. Love these things, got the flag there and everything like that. It's always had this slight gap here just because of the way this handguard's made. On these, you screw them in, and it has a little rail section that tries to get as close as possible, but then you have to tighten this jam nut up against the handguard. And I pulled this, and always had this little rail on here too, this little cover. But anyway, I pulled it off, just kind of run my finger. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to check this guy, because this is pretty quality stuff here. Well, I mean, it's not super low end budget, and come to find out, this one is 0.01 lower. You just don't notice it as much because there's a little gap there. Let me get tighter here. So some people don't even like that gap, but you don't notice it because it's not right up against it. I'm like, really? So my Yankee Hill, one of my favorite builds here with my 300 blackout, is actually 0.01. So it's freaking, 10 thousandths lower, just like this one now is on this upper. I'm like, all right, this may be just the cons of mix and matching, trying to build your own stuff using different manufacturer items. So I'll kind of leave it at that. Odinworks. On my little bastard build, I got this Odinworks key mod here, which was awesome. I actually won this from one of the eBomi giveaways on one of his Locked and Loaded. Very surprising that I got it, and it worked out perfect for this one. I actually kind of, well, I just like it. But I mean, it's nice and tight up against the upper, but when you run with your finger crossed, you can feel there's a height difference. And this one, make sure that's still zeroed, yep. So this one, 0.01 the other way. So it's actually 0.01 higher than the upper. Okay. So, and really, I mean, you don't, on this one, maybe you can kind of notice it a little bit now that I pointed it out. It's kind of hard to see. But you definitely feel the coloration is actually a little different on this one, but you definitely feel it, and it's all the way across there like that. So everyone, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm probably going to go ahead and keep this guy. So what's causing some of these variances just between you know, this upper and the Palmetto State that I tried out, between the spikes and the Palmetto. Well, some of these rails are actually different heights, and that is also measurable from where the barrel is, where the barrel hole is here. And so that one's like 0.75. This one, I'm doing it real quick here. You gotta take a few measurements, make sure you're kind of in that same spot there. But this one's a 0.73, just a tick over, just barely over that line. So that's almost 2, or almost 0.02 difference just in the rail heights on how these two different uppers are. So that's probably the difference. Probably the same thing when I measure these. So manufacturing tolerances for different companies, you know, they're apparently not the same. I'm thinking they're probably all within some type of spec, which might actually be 20 thousandths. So, you know, unless you're getting brand for brand, you're going to take a risk at your rails not matching up if that's going to cause you problems. And I know people were talking about, dang, that's going to mess up your scope if you try to mount a scope. Well, it might. I don't know. I'm not a, you know, last legit scope I had mounted, a friend of mine did it, and you know, he had all the tools and the leveling stuff to do it, and he lapped, you know, whatever he did. I don't know all this stuff, but you know, they do make brackets, and I've read, you know, that it's ideal to have your scope mount on the upper itself and not go onto the rail. Some scopes are longer, but they do make brackets that extend up like this. So my Cheyenne build actually has a large bracket, and it extends a little bit further onto the rail. I think it's mounted either just behind the rail or right at the rail there. So I didn't want to take that one off because, like I said, that one he installed more scopes than me, and he did that for me. I'm not gonna when it's good, I'm just leaving it. I'm not gonna take it off unless I absolutely have to. But so there's that. Put in your input down below again. You know, if you've experienced this. If you don't think you have, and you have done builds, I challenge you to pull out the builds and see if they're perfect or not, and do a vid on that. You know, it don't happen unless it was on vid. Because like this one, I could just say, you know, this one's perfect. And you wouldn't actually know unless I told you, because it's so close by the eye. Run your finger across, take the gauge to it, and it's actually off. 0.01. So there it is. I've rambled on too much. You want to trade an upper for something?